if I have a quiz. This room, if I have, this room will be packed of the students. Okay, so but I'm not going to check the attendance of each and every the class, even though I have a small number of students for the registration. But I believe, as I said, you are not elementary school student or not high schooler, so you are, I believe, the adult, depending on the age of the adult, whatever. But anyway, so which means you should be responsible for your activity and anything. Okay, so that includes at the end of the semester. So if your final grade is lower than you expect, so there are always several students who are begging me. So I need just a better grade because otherwise I failed the CPT or OPT or go back to my country or lose the scholarship. I cannot consider such an individual situation. If you have the serious issue or the problem, you should be responsible for yourself. Okay, which means you need to work hard during the semester. Rest of the semester, you need to do something. Okay, so I never change it in my class. So I never change the grade because of such a individual situation. Also, after the final exam, I can consider only the mistake of the grading in your final exam only. I'd like to give the chance to check your final grade probably after the final exam week, the Monday or Tuesday. Probably I will allocate the time to check your final exam. Otherwise, the other stuff like the quiz, attendance, and the project, you should work with the GA first. If there's any missing, any mistake, or any complaint, discuss with the GA. Then if you cannot solve the problem, any issue, then the GA will inform to me. Then we'll take care of such a case. But that should be done before final exam. Okay. Any question regarding to such a grade? We will have the final exam. The date assigned by the registrar office, I already update on our website. I think that is a Thursday, right? Yeah, Thursday. The 1:35 to the 2 hours. Why don't you check the press website? Then you will see the final exam schedule. Also, final exam will cover after midterm exam. It's not comprehensive, okay? I'm not going to ask any direct question from the first half of the semester. It's after, I think that starts from the deadlock management. It's chapter 7 through the whatever we cover throughout the semester. That will be part of the final exam. Format-wise, it's the same as the midterm exam. I'm going to ask this time. I realized that the multiple choice is not a chance to increase the grade. So usually the average of the multiple choice is not better than the half, the 50%. So, but I'm thinking a little bit more the multiple choice exam. But we have plenty of time. It's a 2-hour exam, so I'm going to think the open-ended question more. Okay. So, but because of the number of students, it's very, very hard to grade the open-ended question. So it doesn't matter how long it takes. The problem is the consistency. Okay. Sometimes it may be true. The first beginning is a very strict, very tough, and so I usually check the double check. So I grade from beginning to end, then going back. Okay. The recheck. That's what I'm doing to keep the consistency. But anyway, regarding to the final exam, great. So you have a chance to check the exam sheet. Do not lose such the opportunity to check them. So any question regarding to the rest of the schedule? So you need to do the project 2. Project 2, you can keep the same group as the project 1. Okay. So if you want to change the group membership, so I think that you'd better contact the GA first. Okay. And also, I do not allow the individual, the project, the collaboration is another criteria in the group project. And also, I don't think that you want to retake this course, so I'm going to offer the online course in summer, and also the full semester I'm going to operating system until new professor will take over the operating system class. Then I can focus on the database and the big data and the data analytics course. So those who are interested in the data analytics, within a year, so I offer the, so by the way, I offer the new concentration in computer science and computer engineering. Computer engineering student also will be eligible to select the new concentration, the name, big data and data analytics. Some of you guys are interested. So nowadays it's a very hot issues, hot area in the job market. Those who knows the how to use the Hadoop-based distributed system as well as the data analytics tool, including data mining and data analytics tool and or statistics tool. So I'm offering the to get the new concentration. So master student are eligible to need to complete the database and 551 and data mining 552 and 651 big data and 652 NoSQL database. So those one interesting to do that new concentration can consider the summer course as well as the fall and the spring semester. Okay. Any question regarding to the final exam and the rest of the semester schedule? Okay. So we are going to, I expect to cover up to the chapter 13 in case we have a time. I will cover one or more the topic that may include the virtual machine and others. But hopefully chapter 11 to chapter 13 is my plan. So today we are going to talk about the file system interface. So what is a file, by the way? File. Everybody use the file every day, every time. So you have a file on your phone and you have a file so on your laptop or the external hard disk drive. Even though my lecture will be recorded as a file. So what is a file?
Data structure.
Data structure, yes. So it's a data structure.
It's sequential. It's sequential.
It's a specialized for what? First, to keep the information, right? You can keep the information in your file. Then, generally, such information are stored as a sequential pattern. Okay, it's a sequentially. It's a series of byte or word data. It's not just a file. Okay, then you can put all the information like the name, ID, or the something other. Sometimes it's a binary data, or sometimes the text ASCII code data. Sometimes even image or video can be stored as a file. So that's any kind of information in your computer or the computer stuff or whatever will be stored at the file. So file, managing such a file is a very important issue when you design, when you operate your operating system. So last class we have talked about the media, okay? Media method, where we can keep such a data or the information. So it's a mass storage. So we have talked about something, the hard disk drive or the solid state disk or and how to schedule when we access the data. But in this chapter, we will talk about the data structure for a file. Then eventually that file structure will be implemented by file system. Okay, file system is a important part of operating system. Usually, not always, usually such a file system is not directly part of the operating system. Usually it's separate from the operating system, which means sometimes if you want, you can purchase your own file system and plug it to your operating system. Also, not only just one file system, there might be several different file systems you can use. Even Windows, so you can, right now, depending on the operating system, so you can use some different file system. Even, for example, network file system is one type of the file system. You can use many different file systems. So we will see such a file system today. So today we will cover such a concept of the file. I already explained many of such a concept and how to access or how to share, how to protect such a file. Okay. So file, as he answered, it can be understood as the sequence of word or sequence of byte. It's a simple file for me. What about the video file? It's not just the sequence of file, sequence of the word or sequence of byte. What's the difference? What about the MS Word file? It's a sequence of the binary data, but it's not like the word itself. When you open the MS Word file using Ultra Editor or something, the binary editor, can you see any the word? Or it's just binary data. What's the difference between video file, MS Word file, and ASCII text file? What are the difference?
The way that they are interpreted by the program.
Yes, that means each one has their own data structure. In other words, format. Okay, then interpret different way. Okay, so we will see such a general, the file structure as well as the specialized for each application. So we will see such a file structure. Anyway, the data, the file can keep the data or the information. What kind of format? So simple format is we can keep the data as the record, or sometimes it can be formatted as a fixed length, variable length. Have you ever seen such a the definition of the record used in the file? Have you ever seen? No? What about the, is there anyone who took the database course before? Or who are taking the database? Some of you? We have seen that one, right? So how do you store the data in the database? By record, we can keep such a record by record in the file. Okay? It's the same way. As I said, the author of this textbook, actually the author, another textbook for the database, some of the information are actually the common. That's one of the reasons I select. Even though this is very popular, I like this textbook because he understands the database concept, which is my major. Anyway, so data can be the simple example of the data structure for the file is we can keep the data as a line, or sometimes a fixed line, so a variable line. Sometimes it can be complex, the structure. But anyway, both of them are something data structure. Depending on the application, it can be defined differently. Okay? So file is not that special. So for example, you can create your own file format in your application. It doesn't matter. Sometimes, how can you recognize different file format?
Extension.
So you can use an extension. Extension does not mean it changes the format, but it can describe. Okay, we will see such an example. Even though you can change it .doc file to the PPT file, it doesn't change it, the real format of your data. But you can easily understand what types of the format, what types of the data structure, and what the application program can interpret, understand this file. So yes,
when you say data structure, that's the same as the file structure.
yes, that's the file structure. So we will see such a complicated, complex structure as well as the simple data structure next. And who decide that? Definitely application. So sometimes operating system knows everything, but usually application program has their own file structure, file system. So that is the reason. So if you are using the Windows, you can specify the program that can open, that can handle, that can manage the specific file. Okay. So there are different, depending on the types of data, we can classify the files into three. One is just the numeric data. That's also long time ago only we can keep the numeric data for the data file, and also we can keep the character data or sometimes the binary data. So because of the difference, so sometimes when you transfer, how can you transfer the file using the internet or using the network? How can you transfer the data? You can use the file transfer, the protocol as FTP, which is based on the TCP/IP protocol, right? Just like the HTTP or the other the TCP/IP based the application level. It's a, who are taking the DCC or network code? You remember the OSI 7 layer? The what is the top is the application layer. So which is based on the TCP/IP layer. So TCP, as long as using the TCP/IP, so it may be different. Application FTP is one of them. Is there anyone who are using both the Linux or the Unix system with the Windows? Yes. From time when you transfer the file between Windows system and the Linux-based system or the Unix-based system, you may lose some information. Have you ever encountered such a problem? You cannot open the file. Nowadays, many of the application program, FTP, they automatically recognize the format, type of the file, whether this is a binary, this is the text file. Text file include the numeric and character, but actually, what is the main difference between binary and ASCII? We can consider numeric and character as an ASCII file. What is the main difference between ASCII and the binary?
Binary is 0 and 1. And
ASCII also 0 and 1. Right? Right. So computer can understand only the 0 and 1.
but we,
ASCII has standard value. Actually, it has, anyway, binary has the something format, data structure. Each one has different data structure. But in terms of the such a file transfer, the main difference between ASCII and the binary is ASCII has new line character.
What?
New line character. /n or line feeder, which is not in binary. Binary is a fully sequence. So actually the character ASCII file is a sequence of file as we have seen the definition of the file, but it has new line character. Sometimes when you transfer the file, such a new line character is not managed correctly, appropriately. So that is the reason when you transfer file, you need to specify whether file is binary, whether file is ASCII. In case of ASCII, you need to convert. Linux use new line character as /n. Why? Windows system use different special character, like the LF, line feeder. Okay, that should be converted. Otherwise, you cannot see correctly the data in case of ASCII. But nowadays, application program, FTP or SSH program, they automatically define the format of the file successfully, then convert appropriately. That is the types of the file. Okay? And also, file has many different types of the file in terms of content. So as we have seen just before, it has a text or the source file. Both of them are ASCII file. And also we have the object file is compiled and can be shared by the other object. And also binary, the executable file. The object and executable file can be considered as the binary file. Okay. Then each file has the attribute. Okay, what is the attribute? Attribute is a property or characteristic. So what file attribute means? So it's a metadata, additional information that describe the characteristic of the file. By the way, it has such a thing where such a metadata or the file attribute are stored. Operating system or file system, maybe part of file system, where file is set. So file has basically two parts of the file. One is header information, then the others are data. Okay, so in header, they keep such additional information, property information that include the name of the file. One question. Operating system use name of the file to recognize the file. Is it correct or not? Yes?
Yes.
No? Actually, no. Operating system use file descriptor. File descriptor is kind of the number, like the social security number for each person in United States. So for the tax purpose, so it's a unique value. Similarly, operating system assign such a unique tag, unique number for the file, the identifier, which is called the file descriptor. So which means, for example, using C program or C++ program or Java, any program, when you create a file, you can create a file. How can you create a file, by the way, in your programming language? Eventually, you will use system code. There are two modes, user mode and kernel mode. So if you want to create a file, you can use, or sometimes it can be hidden by, it can be abstract. So each program language can provide, but inside, eventually they will use the system code. Then this system code will call the kernel mode. Then kernel, your operating system, will create a file. What is the return of such a system code to create a file? That is the file identifier, file descriptor. So usually when you are doing the system programming, I'm not sure whether, is there any the Unix programming course in our department? Yeah, so if you are doing the Unix programming or system programming course, you will do such a the system programming, the part. So when you create the file, what is the return of that, the creating the file? It's a file descriptor. Sometimes, usually we use FD. Why? I'm not sure either. I don't know why. So most of the programmers use the FD as the output of the creating file, but it's a FD. And types of the file can be stored, and the location, physical location pointer. The location means the pointer, and size of the file. That is a very important information when the first time we develop antivirus program. How? How we can use the size information?
To see if it's changed.
Yes. So long time ago, when virus program changes something, they cannot change the header information. Only add additional code inside the data part of your file. So originally, the file size is the 1K, but after virus program modify it, or if somebody inject, or somebody include the any function inside the file, then it will be increased. Then virus program, antivirus program will check header information, size of the file from the file attribute. Compare this information with the physical file size. If we change it, then that is the suspect of the virus, the program. That is the first time the antivirus program, really. So it's almost 20 years ago, the 1990 something. So they, Norton virus program and some other well-known virus program, antivirus program start with such a way. But nowadays, even the virus program, the handle such a thing is not the easy to detect the file using the file size. That's anyway the file attribute. And protection, we will see the details of the protection. Who can read, who can write, and how many the user or per process can access this file. You can manage to such a thing. So, for example, Windows use the group of the user to give the permission. Or for each file, you can specify the permission. We will see details at the end of this chapter. And also, it's additional information when the file is updated and so on. So such a data will be stored and the file, the header information. And one more thing. This header information will be stored another data structure also, that is directory structure. Directory in terms of Windows which is called folder. Folder and directory. So how can you search the file, by the way? When you search the file, does the operating system search all the file and check the header of each file? No, they cannot do that. It takes a long time. Instead, only header information from each file will be copied to the another data structure which is called directory. It's a group of the file. So to manage the number of file conveniently, most of the operating system uses such a directory structure. No matter what name each operating system uses, it doesn't matter. So folder or the directory. So such a directory structure will keep such a information, okay, of the file. Okay, so that is a file attribute. So in other words, if you develop the operating system, you need to decide, even the application program, when you develop the application program, so you need to define the data structure of your file. Okay? At that time, you can actually inherit from the general file, the format, given by your file system, or you can design your own file structure, like the image file. Each image, JPEG, GIF, PNG, they use the different file structure. If your application does not know about your file structure, cannot open the file. So similarly, you can consider such a basic information. So this is an example of how the macOS keep the information. You can see a bunch of the information about this, including the protection information. Windows has a similar interface. Okay. By the way, such a macOS is based on the Unix. Unix-based the file structure. So, but just a different interface. Then another thing in the file data structure is an operation. So we have the metadata in the file attribute. Then we need to do something with the file. What can you do with the file? Sometimes we want to search the data, search the record from the file, and sometimes we can manage the order of the data, change the order of the data. So that can be managed by the operation in the file. So these are the general operations used in the file data structure. Create, write the file, okay, and specify the location of the file system, and read the data. And when you read the data, there are different types of the reading. One naive way is sequential reading. You can start read from the beginning and sequentially read the data. How can you read the data? Using the operation in the file, the format. So when you design your file, you need to think about such an operation. Another way of reading the file is random accessing. Okay, if your system file data structure manages the address or the pointer of the location, using that information, you can read the data. Last semester, is there anyone who retake the course? You don't want to raise your hand. But anyway, you retake. So what was the project the last semester? Can you remember that?
File transfer system.
It's implementing the file system. But I realized that I thought that it's kind of easy. But I realized that many of the students actually do not understand. I'm not blaming you, but most of the students actually, as I realized during the demonstration, don't know what is the file data structure. When I asked, why don't you implement? I asked my question. The project description is given this information and file system that we are going to discuss. File system is a software that can manage the many files. Then almost nobody understands what they need to do. I asked to implement this one. So what is a file? It's a data structure. First, the most important part is you need to design the file data structure. Like the initial file size is the 10K. Okay? It looks like to create the file or open file system code. Okay? Then your file system software will manage many files. At the time, you need to design. Also, we talk about the block. Right? Block is the smallest I/O because you need to take care of your file system, take care of the block-based I/O and how many blocks for the file structure. And first block will be used for header. Okay? And also how many free blocks inside. And such an operation. For example, when you search the data, so using such a block ID, you can implement even binary search or some random access search. Okay, so for example, truncate. Truncate. What is a truncate? What is a delete? When you delete the data, yes, delete. So if this is the initial, the block size. So it's a fill up the data. So increase block by block. Then when you delete the data, you will delete only the data. Still exists. But truncate means you have only the file structure. So this one will be removed and the empty initial, something like that. So what you guys need to do in the file system implementation, you can design, using this information, you can design your file format and file system. That includes actually directory structure that we are going to discuss. But it's a very hard for students to understand what is an operation. It's a data structure. It's your format in your program anything. What is the attribute? That is the details of your file. Like the first, the 10 bytes will be used for the name. Next, 4 bytes will be used for the size. Next one is additional information, the attribute information. Okay, something like that is the file data structure. What about the? I'm developing for example, the ABC Word, the application. It's a Word program or editor program. At the time, I have my own file structure. You need to design such a way. What is the initial size? What kind of metadata attribute? And what whether we can create the operation for the file. Okay. So using this information, using this file operation like the open file or close file, it can be used for the system call eventually. So after we designed such a file, including attribute and the operation, we can use such a file in your operating system. The first thing is we need to manage such a file. So file has the information. Information will be shared by many users, in other words, many processes. So which means we need to keep, anyway, each process, the several processes, sometimes process will use such a file, which means we need to manage the file, open file per process. Okay? So this is the open file table. Each record is for the process. Then process, each record has the list of the file pointer. Each pointer point to the location of the open file. So this the open file table keep track of any open file per process. Okay. Then we need to manage the number of the files that are open per process. Then we can manage. We will see the different types of the open. One is the shared open. Another one is the exclusive open. We will see the difference. To manage such a thing, we need to manage the number of the times the file open count. Okay. When you open the file, there are two types of the lock. One is the shared lock. Another one is the exclusive lock. What is the difference? Shared lock and exclusive lock. When you open after I open this PPT file, what happened when I open the same file? Is there any message? Yes. You can open this file. Read only. Why?
It's already open. Because it's already open.
It's already open. And this file does not allow
Right.
the multiple process can write the data. Only one process, in other words, one process can write the data. Okay? That is called exclusive lock. Okay? In other words, it's called the write lock. Write lock, if you allow the multiple process to write the same file, that will be messed up. That will be synchronization problem that we have seen in the process manager. Can you remember that? What is the synchronization problem? So we have the shared data, we have a multiple process. One process increase the value, another one is a decrease the value. What's going on? This shared data. We cannot guarantee. To guarantee the output, we will consider synchronization problem. It's the same thing. Then in the file, if we allow the multiple process to write the data, that will cause the serious problem. So most of the operating system allow, except the single user operating system. Single user operating system, you can single process the operating system, so it doesn't matter. But the multi-user, multi-process, the system we need to manage. That is the write lock. That is the not only for the operating system, any other the application program use the same locking mechanism. What about the shared lock? Shared lock means, in other words, read lock. How many users can read the data? PDF file, how many times you can open? Using Acrobat Reader. Many, as many as possible. So you can, when you read, unless if you do not change the contents, you can read as many times as possible. That is the shared lock. Then there might be question. This is the easy concept to understand. There might be question. Those who already took the database course or those who has experience with data. How many users can update or insert the data for the same table? Only one? Many. Actually, many users can update the data. How can it be happen? So this one, exclusive lock is for writing. Shared lock for the reading. So shared lock makes sense. What about the writing in the database? Yes, it's possible. Then how we can make the many users update the table data same time?
Lock is based on the records.
It has the
Records.
different locking. It's not just a simple, it has a different locking. It is the concurrency control. Concurrently, the user can access the data. For example, long time ago, SQL Server. SQL Server is a database server in Microsoft. Microsoft operating system, Windows, actually single user purpose, right? Long time ago when Bill Gates developed the operating system using the DOS and Windows, it's the focus on only single user. Okay? So SQL Server database system for Microsoft is also single user. They don't have to worry about the concurrency control because only one user. Only one user can update the data and read the data, doesn't matter. But from the Windows 95, people wanna actually access the data in the other. So Windows XP and Windows NT, and eventually it's the multi-user, the operating system. Then SQL Server doesn't work for multi-user, so they purchase concurrency control module from the another company that is called the CPSC. Then it can support the multi-user. Then how? The concurrency control is a very complicated, different level. Basic idea is you can use buffer, the memory data. If one data is updated, it's the block by block. If the one block is updated by the one user, okay, then copy. Then multi-version. If you have the 10 users who would like to update the same time, make the 10 copies. Okay? Then we will discuss a little bit about that. The mechanism is called transaction control. So we will define the logical the unit of the operation is called the transaction. So in the transaction, it can be guaranteed using different. So when you understand operating system, however, does not have such a complicated, okay, the locking mechanism. Why? This is a general purpose software to interface between computer and the human being. There might be many other. If the operating system has a very strict, complicated locking mechanism, application cannot follow such a thing. So it's usually general. But you should understand such as shared lock and exclusive lock. Okay?
So when you say concurrent, things happen at the same time?
Yeah,
or
same
it
time.
still has
Concurrently, the many user can access the shared data.
So there is no microsecond delay also, right?
No, because it has the different. There are different ways. So there might be delay. The strict rule is you need to wait. In this case, you need to wait until the current user release the lock, right? That is the exclusive lock. At that time delay. But for example, it depending on the application program, such as the database management system, they allow the concurrency. So same time, the many user can access the same data.
Can we call it parallel to?
Oh no, parallel is different. Parallel is the same time you can process same algorithm. Okay, usually parallel programming, parallel processing is for scalability. Okay. That's the different concept. Okay? So to speed up. So if I ask something, sorting the job, so 2 people is better than 1. That's the parallelism. That doesn't mean I have the shared data. You guys can update this one, but at the time, if I cannot control who is writing, then we cannot guarantee the output. That is the concurrency control problem and synchronization. So these are the example of the Java for the file locking. So I'm going to skip this, but you can use the class provide the Java for locking and the shared lock and exclusive lock. Then file type, depending on the contents of the format of the file, we have the different one. Usually we have the different extension to easily recognize. That doesn't mean the content of the, if you change the O file, .o file to the DOC file, that doesn't mean contents. File header is changing, okay? So but this one is the easiest way. Instead of accessing the file header, we can easily recognize what types of the file. Okay? So that means if I change my PPT file into DOC file, that doesn't mean the Microsoft Word can open my file. You still need to use the PowerPoint application program. These are just the general, well-known, the extension. Okay. Windows even does not require to use the extension. You can remove the extension. There might be no limitation. Size of the, it's the same nowadays, same as the Unix and the Windows system. In Unix system, what is the best way to recognize the type of the file? Is there anyone that use the macOS or Linux? You can use the right click or from the macOS to see the property of that. But in the command line interface, you can use command ls. Yes, that shows the file, not type. It shows the type of the whether this is a directory or file.
ls minus al, right?
But that doesn't show the file type. Like whether this is an ASCII file, whether this is a binary file, whether this is an image file. No, I don't think so. Instead, you can use the command file, F-I-L-E. So if you are using the macOS in the command line interface, why don't you type file and file name? That it shows the file type. Okay, that is the at this time, this file command does not check the extension. Instead, check the attribute in the header information. I think I I have the screenshot. After I migrate to the surface, I do not copy the virtual machine. I cannot show the demonstration. But this is the screenshot from the Unix system. But I believe the macOS has the same interface. But ls shows just the file name.
The extension also.
Extension, that's what I'm saying. Extension does not mean it's the real file type. Okay? If I change it, for example, the tar into the DOC, that doesn't mean it's the DOC file. It's still tar file. Okay? So, to know the real file type at the time, you can type file left to the tar that shows that this is a user tar archive. Why don't you test it? This is very useful command when you see the unknown or the not frequently used file. What kind of file this is this? So, for example, in case of the directory, it shows that this is a directory. If you are using ls-al, that shows whether this is a directory, whether this is a file, okay, but not the file type. Oops. I didn't really see this one before. Okay, so as I said, that there are two different types of accessing the data. One is the sequential access. Sequential access, so we can start from the beginning. Like the magnetic tape that we have briefly seen in the previous chapter. Magnetic tape, you can access the data in the magnetic tape sequentially. So from the beginning, next. Still used in some of the file structure, like the IBM ISAM file. They used such a sequential. It's a very fast and reliable sometimes. So that is a sequential access file. And when we implement the sequential access, it's the next. On the other hand, direct access means it's a random access. So using the pointer address or the block ID, so we can directly find the location. So if you implement such a random access in your file structure, you need to manage the information, address or block ID of your entire data block. Then manage it. You should be able to search that specific block using your file header information. However, this is not implemented in the last project, but probably next I will add more the operation in the file structure, like this one. So we can, using the block ID or address or location of that is n, we can directly access it. And also this one has the sequential in case of the range of the data that you need to access. So relative block number. Okay. So I think, is it the database course that mentioned about the ISAM? I think so. So IBM ISAM file is it's a sequential file, but it has their own organization. It's a sequential file. It has an index. File itself is an index. So it's still used in the IBM mainframe. That is the IBM indexed sequential access method. Very fast and reliable. So that is used for the financial application or financial system. Such an IBM mainframe is very expensive nowadays. Have you ever heard about the downsizing? No, client server. You know the client server. What is a client server environment? Computing environment. It's a client and server. Client server. So, for example, if you get when you have a job interview, so if somebody asks you what is a client server, what is a CS environment, how can you answer? It's still used. For example, what? Web service. Web server is a client server. And database system is a client server. Many of them are still client server. What is a client server? A long time ago, computer is just a single system. There's no other connection, no internet, no network. It's just one computer that has what? Everything. can you use such a computer? Remote login? No, it's not possible. No network. So you need to use dummy terminal. It's a dummy. It's not computer, it's a dummy. It's a directly connected. The number of dummy terminal is limited depending on the power or capacity of your system. It's a single load. It's a centralized server. It does everything, database or the client or whatever. So benefit, it's a reliable and secure. Why? So no way to attack. It's only the dummy terminal, which means you need to see the in front of a computer, or at least the dummy terminal cable. So you never use the dummy terminal, right? I did. When I learned the first program language, when I joined the company, my old company. So as I said, my major was not the computer science. I never used computer. I actually used a personal computer, 1980.